Well, it looks like a resolution to the DeMar DeRozan next destination saga is about to reach its conclusion as MArc Stein reports that the Chicago Bulls, Sacramento Kings, and San Antonio Spurs are working on a three-team trade that will send DeMar DeRozan to the Sacramento Kings and send reroute salary to the Spurs. We're going to talk about all and more right after this.
Tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
I see red, I see red, I see red, I see red, yeah, I see red, I see red, I see red, I see.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. Let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. So this just came out, a lot of movement here over just like the last 30 minutes. Initially, MArc Stein reported that the Sacramento Kings and the Chicago Bulls and San Antonio Spurs were working on a three-team trade that would send DeMar DeRozan to the San Antonio Spurs. And then just about 5 minutes ago, Shams Charania reports that DeMar DeRozan is actually traveling to meet with the Kings in Sacramento this weekend, and the Kings are in serious pursuit of the six-time All-Star who has begun one-on-one conversations with various team personnel. So it seems like, at least on the surface level, that we could be getting a resolution to the DeMar DeRozan situation here with the Chicago Bulls shortly. Now, DeMar DeRozan is off the Chicago Bulls roster. Let's be clear, he's an unrestricted free agent. He's no longer a Chicago Bull, and the Bulls theoretically do not have the space to retain him anyway. But since teams are looking to acquire DeMar DeRozan for a little bit over the mid-level exception, it has opened the possibility up for a three-team trade, or it's for a sign-and-trade scenario. Now, in what's being reported by both MArc Stein and Shams Charania is that the Bulls do not want to take salary back in this deal for DeMar DeRozan, and thus a third team is needed in these contract talks. We don't know exactly what what pieces are being involved in that contract talk. It could come down to what type of contract the Sacramento Kings want to give DeMar DeRozan, but it seems like in some part, some of that salary will be getting rerouted to the Spurs, whereas Chicago Bulls are not going to be taking on the bulk of that salary. This could end up being a much bigger deal than initially thought, or it could still be something as small as Kevin Huerter, maybe some picks involved for DeMar DeRozan. Maybe the Bulls are rerouting Kevin Huerter to the San Antonio Spurs, considering that they have a lot of guards there, and maybe they've come to the understanding that Zach LaVine is probably going to be on this roster. That's the speculative piece of that. But right now, when you have somebody like MArc Stein and Shams Charania reporting kind of the same things in regards to a deal is coming with the Sacramento Kings, kind of makes some sense there as far as what the future for DeMar DeRozan holds. The bigger question in this is, how does it affect the Chicago Bulls? And that could come down to, what are the Bulls getting back? The Bulls still do hold some leverage in this, considering that a team can't give DeMar DeRozan more than the mid-level exception without the Bulls being involved in some way. So how are the Bulls going to use that leverage to their advantage? Will they be able to get some unprotected seconds? I highly doubt they're going to be able to get something as high as a first. I just don't expect that for what DeMar has, his value has shown. If the Bulls walk away from this somehow even getting a heavily protected first-round pick, it would be crazy to think of. So I'm not gonna expect that. More than likely, the Bulls are getting maybe a second, maybe a few seconds in that type of deal, and we'll see what happens. And so, like I've said before with DeMar DeRozan, you look at DeMar, 17th in the league in scoring last year. He's played 93% of the possible games over his 3 years with the Chicago Bulls, so the durability is not a question there either. And so overall, we're looking at DeMar DeRozan possibly finding his home, and the fact that he's going out to Sacramento to meet with the Kings, to me, that's putting the final touches. This is the speculation part. This isn't, nobody reported on this, but with me, I take him meeting with the Kings as it being the final kind of details being worked on in a deal, and then it just becomes about solidifying that three-team trade and then seeing what happens of that. So we'll see what the Bulls get out of that. We'll see what happens. I know some people are saying, like, we need Kevin Huerter. Need is a big word, but when you look at the Bulls' depth, the guard depth, I get it. Yes, the Bulls are missing three-point shooting, but you can miss some things when you're a team that isn't trying to push for the play-in. That's a big thing. Yes, this team is going to lose games. I need everybody to understand this. If the Bulls are going younger, it could be absolutely with the goal to keep their own 2025 pick. So Bulls fans, don't start whining and complaining if we walk away from this deal and we don't have Kevin Huerter. Look at the Bulls bench guard depth. You got Josh Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White, Zach LaVine still on the roster as of right now, right? You have a lot of guards already on this team, with even Dalen Terry possibly picking up some guard minutes as well. So if the Bulls decide to reroute Kevin Huerter, it's more so because they just wouldn't have realistically a spot for him to play when they're already playing small ball, because if Zach LaVine's still on this roster, he's probably going to be playing a lot of three. So I get it. I understand. I know we're trained as fans of this team to think we need this, we need that, we need this, we need that. But ultimately, if the Bulls' goal here is to develop young guys and not necessarily winning games, if that's a byproduct of developing the young guys, cool. But developing the young guys being the focus and increasing your chance to keep a top 10 pick, I'm telling you right now, Kevin Huerter is not worth missing out on the top 10 pick in the 2025 draft. It's just not. And so, again, we'll see what the Bulls get out of this. We'll see what they have. Maybe they do still end up with Kevin Huerter. Maybe it's another player that's on the Kings roster is going to be rerouted to the Spurs, and the Bulls just don't want to take that on. But even Kevin Huerter's contract is more than the space that the Bulls have. The Bulls cannot take on more than $14 million right now in salary without sending out additional salary on top of the sign and trade. So just keep that in mind, guys. The Spurs right now are being linked as that third team to get that done, and we'll see what happens with that. So let's see. What's coming back? We don't know exactly, Jacob. We don't know exactly what's coming back right now. So Adam said, I knew you beat up already. Haha, appreciate it, man. Hey, appreciate you, brother. CBC with the news. It's off season. Don't nobody cover the Bulls in the off season like we do, L, man. I'm glad to have you in the building, man. Bulls will dump Jevon Carter and get Kevin Huerter in the deal. Watch. I wouldn't assume that. Because Jevon Carter's deal is fully guaranteed at $6 million per. Now, maybe the Spurs are looking at it like having another veteran point guard out there. If Greg Popovich thinks, hey, I can get something out of Jevon Carter, maybe it's possible, but I wouldn't assume that that's the case either. Finally, it's going to be over. It's looking like we should have a resolution by the end of this weekend. DeMar, we love you, cuz, but best wishes for real. And listen, I want DeMar going to the Kings and being kind of the third scorer there behind Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. They still got Malik Monk to add some shooting for around him as well. Listen, I don't want DeMar to go to a place where he's not going to be. I have no ill will to DeMar. I hope that he goes to a place that he can still contend and everything. I hope that that's the case. Let's see what we got. Cordell says, hey, thank basketball gods. LaVine and Vooch is next, and y'all sleeping on this new roster the Bulls are building. A lot of people are down on the roster the Bulls are building. A lot of people are, and I think, hey, you know what it comes down to? If they show it, the Bulls fans will come around. That's just what it comes down to. Mr. Noy says, what's good, Haize? What's good, Noy? Glad to have you in the building as well, brother. We're going to keep bringing the news. As things develop, we will keep bringing it and hope and see and watch how this develops, man. Justin says, good for DeMar. Definitely agree with you on that one. Do you think we get that 2025 pick back from the Spurs to own it outright in this deal? I highly, highly doubt that. Now, I'm not going to, I will give AK tons and tons of credit. If he's able to walk away with removing those, I don't even care if he doesn't get nothing else back in the deal. If he can walk away from this by getting or removing the picks of the 2025 draft, meaning however the Bulls season goes, they own their pick outright, that is also a win for the Chicago Bulls, because this deep is draft. This draft is deep into the 20s. We're talking about a pick in the 20s in the 2025 draft is a lottery pick in the 2024 draft. So if the Bulls are able to walk away with the protections removed from their own pick, I like that a lot. Kevin Huerter is 25 and would be nice, but picks should be the priority in this deal. I completely agree with you and understand with that one for sure. Giddey, Kobe, Zach, P. Will, Vooch, Sanogo, Smith, Craig, Phillips, Mattis, Dalen. Mattis, the fact that you mentioned Mattis Bucelis that far down, I think he's going to be ahead of Torrey Craig in the roster in this point. Again, you gave a great lineup if the Bulls were trying to compete for the play-in. I don't think that that's the goal for the Chicago Bulls. So I think that it's going to Mattis Bucilis is going to get a lot of minutes because they're developing. I think that that's the case. Giddey needs her to shooting. No, we've seen Giddey be effective without it. And again, you are not going to look for short-term success that affects your long-term goals. It's just not. You're not going to do that. Yeah, Debo flying out there is basically official. I'm hearing the Spurs will probably be. Why do y'all say y'all hearing like you got sources? You read the same thing we all read, brother. I'm just throwing you some fun, but I'm hearing the Spurs would be the third team to help in the sign and trade. Yeah, that's the way that it seems like it's shaping up, brother. Chicago Blackhawk Central says, sounds like the Spurs are going to be the third team. Salary plus picks. Spurs picks to the Bulls, DeMar to Kings. Curious to hear all the details. Yeah, the permutations that could come about from this combination of teams are crazy. And the reason why is because the Spurs own the protection on the Chicago Bulls pick, and that could be more valuable than even getting some seconds back, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens with that one. Hopefully Carter goes with him. That's definitely a possibility. CBC super clutch with the Bulls news. Salute. I appreciate that, King Louis, man. That's what I'm here to do, brother. Please let's get this done and over with today from Leandre Hill. Let's see. Spurs won't be giving up picks in the deal. They're joining the deal to take on salary and gain picks. No, I would disagree with that. Like, if you look at how the history of three-team trades work with specifically in sign and trade scenarios, usually you're rerouting a salary, and it's probably going to be heavily protected pick. They'll probably throw in like a 2032 heavily protected second-round pick that's like top 50 protected, but they aren't going to probably get any picks. The Bulls are going to be getting the lion's shares of the picks in a deal like this. Lester says, good move by Bulls to accommodate DeMar getting paid. It's important to continue to do right by players to improve their reputation in the league. Developing the young guys should be the priority. Completely agree with you there, brother. Completely agree. You think if it's a sign and trade, y'all get it late first? I doubt. Or is that too much to ask? More like a couple of seconds or player swap only. Not a Bulls fan, so I don't know. I'm just asking. Honestly, I don't see the Bulls getting a first. I don't. Now, I mean, if the Kings feel very confident in this, I don't see it, especially not in the 2025 draft. I don't think a lot of teams are looking to give up much capital there. So I don't think, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that one. Madison Dalen as shooting guard off the bench. Mattis Bucilis is probably not going to play shooting guard there, brother. Probably not going to play shooting guard. Probably going to play some three there, bro. Kevin Huerter most likely will. Kevin Huerter, it makes the most sense straight up. I did hear another permutation on the deal. Now, this isn't part of the Shams reporting. This is something that I read elsewhere. I don't have the source off the top of me, but they talked about it was Kevin Huerter and who was the other player? I can't remember who the other player was. But it was like a back end of the bench player. So it wasn't anybody that like is moving the needle or anything, but I think it was just to create a little bit more salary there. So that's a possibility. Muhammad, how the hell are you going to say we failed again when nothing happened yet? What are you talking about? Like, this is what I mean. Bulls fans, stop waking up and wanting to bitch. Like, let's just stop doing that. Like, we are clearly going in a different direction. Why complain? The same people that complain about the Bulls not winning games and struggling around the play-in, now that we've moved on and gone younger, y'all complain about that? Haize with the consistent content. I just hope the Bulls get a good return and this trade goes down. I mean, this is the way that I look at it, honestly, is that because DeMar DeRozan is an unrestricted free agent and he could have signed anywhere and the Bulls got nothing. No matter what the Bulls get back in this, it's a plus. And I know if the Bulls only get a couple of seconds back, you, of course, are going to have your Bulls fans like, oh, my God, DeMar averaged 25, and we only got 2 second-round picks back for DeMar. Take into consideration the context. DeMar is an unrestricted free agent. The only reason that we sit right here where the Bulls have a chance of recouping anything back for DeMar is because the market looked at DeMar and said, you're not worth what you think you're worth. And thus, the Bulls can slide in and take some advantage over it. That's all. Is it great? No. Would they have gotten more back, trade him at the trade deadline? Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. No, it's not. It wasn't Barnes. Barnes was the earlier permutation of the deal. I can't remember who it was. It was Chris Duarte. That's who it was. It was Chris Duarte. I don't know why I thought Duarte was on a different roster, but it was Chris Duarte because he has the $5 million contract. And so the Bulls, what that would create then is the possibility to get DeMar DeRozan up to almost $25 million if they include Chris Duarte and Kevin Huerter, and they're not taking back any other deals that the Bulls would have to send out. They can get DeMar up to close to 25. I think it's 23.5 million is exactly what they'd be able to get. I think. So I'm excited that my Chicago Bulls are finally making changes that make sense. Sometimes you have to go through the storm to get through the true destination. Keep doing your thing, Haize. Appreciate that, bro. Like, yeah, and that's what it is, man. That is what it is. And if we can get the ball-headed hoe out of here, as part of the deal, if y'all go back and when we got rid of Alfonso McKinney and I did the celebrate good times at the end of the video, if we get rid of that bald-headed, no shooting, no defense, midget-ass point guard in Jevon Carter, I swear for God, by the power invested in me by the Chicago Bulls, we will throw a goddamn celebration here. I promise. Like, you ain't got to worry about it. The celebration that we would throw if we get rid of that bald-headed, punk-ass hoe, I would, listen, get him and his big-ass-eyed wife up out of here, bro. Get him up out of here. Let them go. Let my people go. Looking-ass motherfucker. Can we get rid of that? Can we get rid of him? Haize, definitely appreciate the content, brother. Glad to hear something getting done today, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, like I said, personal thought, not the reporting, is I think that I take him flying to Sacramento as that's the icing on the cake. That's to finalize the deal. Because in the day and age that we live in, you don't have to take face-to-face meetings. If it was just let me fill you out, there's no point. You don't have to take, everything's done digitally nowadays. Most free agents that sign won't sign the official contract till they show up to training camp, because that's the next time that they're in person. If he's flying out to Sacramento, they're about to try to wine and dine and sell DeMar DeRozan and what they got going on. So, bro, I know this is completely off subject, but can you bring up to the guys for me that I think Diamond D on the Sky remind me of Zach LaVine with their decision-making? LOL, please. I'm the host of Chicago Sky Central, so I'm actually going to be recording an episode of that podcast later. But yeah, I could definitely bring it up. Declining the 2-year extension for $80 million looks crazy for DeMar now. How do you turn down $40 million a year? That goes back to his agent and DeMar just really thinking that they were going to get that money out of there, man. They really think they're going to get that money out of there. So, hey, man. Got this man started on Jevon Carter again. Man, listen, I swear for God, I will literally be on this motherfucking crip walking. It will be not like us playing in the goddamn background if we include if the trade is announced and it includes Jevon Carter as part of this DeMar DeRozan 3-team trade. I'm standing on this here desk right here, and I am crip walking until the desk collapses. I don't give a flying fuck. I am celebrating to get that man up out of this organization. Like, and you know why? I hate Jevon Carter so much? I've been wrong on 2 players that came here. This time last year, I was so convinced that Jevon Carter was going to be a good 3-point shooter and a good point of attack defender for the Chicago Bulls team that I thought he was going to start. So some of it is just my own hubris coming back to catch up with me. I can admit it. You guys know I admit it when I'm wrong all the time. I was so wrong on Jevon Carter that at this point, that wrongness has turned into pure hatred. That's what it is. I hate the way you walk. I hate the way you talk. I hate the way you dribble the ball. Get the fuck off my team, bro. Get off my team. Go. Take the ball-headed hoe with you, man. Like, just take it with you. Like, it's just this. I hate Jevon Carter. Every time I see Jevon Carter on that bench with that blank-ass stare, I wonder and I look at myself and say, stupid. It just reminds me of my own stupidity. That's what it is. It reminds me of my own stupidity. I was so hyped. It's like when I convinced myself that fucking Marquise Teague was going to be a good backup point guard. That's what this reminds me of. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I hate the way you walk. I hate the way you talk. I hate the way you dribble that goddamn basketball. Get off my team, bro. Please. Just get off my squad. Please. That's it. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. Please. God, somebody take him. Somebody take Jevon Carter off my team, bro. We didn't bring back Patrick. We let Patrick Beverly go because we were getting a young version of Patrick Beverly and Jevon Carter. We let Patrick Beverly go for Jevon ball-headed Ho Carter. That's what we did. Yeah, it's time to go, man. It's time to go, bro. It's really time to go. Like, get that motherfucker up off my team, bro. Like, he gotta go, man. He gotta go. I'm sorry. It's pure hatred at this point. It's irrational hatred. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. Bring back Marko Simonovic. I hate him. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, bro. Anyway, so just to recap, man, according to MArc Stein, the Chicago Bulls, Sacramento Kings, and San Antonio Spurs are working out a 3-team trade that would send DeMar DeRozan to the Kings. It would reroute salary to the Spurs, and the Bulls will get something. And then following that up by Shams, who reported a few minutes later that DeMar is flying out to Sacramento to meet with the Kings. So that's what we have right now, man. But yeah, man. All right, let's listen. At this point, Cristiano Felicio was a more impactful Bull than Jevon Carter. Go back and look at this. Go back and look at the stats. Cristiano Felicio was a more it was because of the Dwayne Wade lobs, but Cristiano Felicio made more of a positive impact on the Chicago Bulls than Jevon ball-headed ho Leroy Carter. So yeah, it is what it is, man. But yeah, all right, y'all, man. I'll be back if news drops, if the trade becomes official. Make sure you guys stay tuned in right here. Hit that subscribe button as well. In exchange for that, I'm delivering the absolute best, most consistent, and fastest content on the Chicago Bulls during the offseason. If you hit that subscribe button, I'll keep you up to date on all the latest news, rumors, and moves that the Chicago Bulls make all throughout the offseason. I love you guys. Go Bulls. See red, y'all.